What is the experience like when an inflatable doll gains consciousness, transforms into a human form, and accompanies you day and night? This film was released in 2009 and is one of the few bold performances by South Korean actress Bae Doona. In the movie, Bae Doona appears daringly, showcasing her graceful figure in full view. This film is a rare gem of a cult classic. Hideo, who works part-time at a restaurant, is a financially struggling and self-conscious attacker. One day, after returning home from work, he sits at the dining table, complaining to the inflatable doll across from him. As usual, Hideo names the doll Nozomi, who represents his ex-girlfriend, and every night he engages in some unspeakable activities with Nozomi. Afterwards, he would meticulously clean his equipment. That morning, as Hideo was getting ready for work, the inflatable doll suddenly blinked its eyes. Unaware, Hideo dressed and covered the doll with a blanket before leaving. Once he was gone, the inflatable doll began to move. Nozomi slowly got out of bed and walked step by step towards the balcony. In the sunlight, his shadow appeared transparent and ethereal. He looked at his hands and then reached out to touch the raindrops hanging on the window. Now with perception, he was filled with curiosity about the world, chose his favorite outfit, and walked onto the street. The outside world was so magical to Nozomi, and he was experiencing a brand new world. In the evening, he arrived at a video rental store. Curious, he went inside. A young man warmly greeted Nozomi. His name was Chani, and he told Nozomi that the store was hiring. That night, Hideo pushed Nozomi to the park and sat on a bench. Just as Hideo was about to kiss Nozomi, however, leaned his body back. After Hideo adjusted his posture, Nozomi still instinctively avoided him. With newfound feelings, Nozomi also began to gradually refuse things he was not very willing to do. Before long, Nozomi became an employee there, and Chani taught Nozomi various things while tidying up the storage cabinet. One day, the store manager asked Nozomi if he had someone he liked. Watching Chani leave, Nozomi replied, "No." This was the first time he lied. It was because he had feelings that he lied. Although he had his own thoughts, Nozomi still returned to the residence he shared with Hideo. Every day he continued to pretend to be an inflatable doll and still attended to Hideo's desires. During the day, Nozomi passed by a beauty salon, and being fond of beauty, he asked the makeup artist to help him cover the seams to make it look more like a normal girl. He would also buy himself one or two nice pieces of clothing. Through working together every day, Nozomi developed feelings for Chani. She taught Nozomi how to work, answered her questions, and even took her to the beach she had never visited before. At the beach, Nozomi asked Chani what it means to grow old. Chani replied that growing is like constantly getting closer to one's daughter. Nozomi pondered this thoughtfully. In the evening, Chani took Nozomi to dine at a restaurant, but Nozomi never touched the food. He imitated others, and when Chani wasn't paying attention, he casually tossed the food aside and pretended to chew. At that moment, the Happy Birthday song started playing in the restaurant. It turned out a father was celebrating his daughter's birthday. This scene caught Nozomi's attention, and he envied the little girl, wishing he could have a birthday like that. In the evening, Chani took Nozomi for a walk. Nozomi saw his own shadow, and a wave of inferiority washed over him. He no longer walked alongside Chani, but ran off to the side by himself. Looking at the adorable Nozomi, Chani gradually grew fond of her. However, one day while Nozomi was tidying up the shelves, she accidentally scraped her arm and fell headfirst. Vitality within him is the breath of his beloved, and he is immersed in that overwhelming pleasure in the empty shop. They held each other tightly. The next day, Nozomi asked Chani if she had scared him. To reassure Xiaowang, Chani lied to her, saying that he was also a human like her. Was very happy. At night, Hideo held Nozomi as they slept. With the new her, she began to feel repulsed by people she didn't like. She then pushed S hand away. After meeting Chani, Nozomi felt that she had truly become human, and that she also had the right to be loved. Happily, she danced around the room with the breath of her beloved. However, everything seemed like a beautiful dream that eventually had to end. That day, Nozomi went to work as usual and heard someone calling out. She hurried over and found it was Hideo, who was so startled that he immediately lowered his head unexpectedly. Hideo did not recognize Nozomi, but the store manager took advantage of the situation. The store manager had seen Nozomi living with Hideo and assumed Hideo was Nozomi's boyfriend. Thinking Nozomi was cheating with Chani, the store manager used this to threaten Nozomi, turning him into a tool to satisfy his own desires. That day, Nozomi heard Hideo singing a birthday song from inside the closet. He was curious about whose birthday Hideo was celebrating. Taking advantage of the time when Hideo went to the bathroom, Nozomi came out, only to see another inflatable doll lying on the bed. just like he used to be at that moment. Hideo returned and was startled to see the living Nozomi. Once he regained his composure, Nobita told Xiao Wang that he had also celebrated his birthday when he first bought him, and even found Nozomi's original packaging box. Nozomi asked Hideo, "What do you like about me?" Hideo couldn't answer, and it turned out that Nozomi had long known he was just a replacement for Nobita's ex-girlfriend. Even the name was that of the ex-girlfriend. However, like many men, Hideo only wanted an inflatable doll that would be compliant and trouble-free. For Nozomi, who had developed emotions and thoughts, this was unacceptable. He left angrily. The next day, Nozomi woke up on a park bench. He followed his production address to a company that manufactured inflatable dolls, where the bed was filled with unformed mannequins. At this moment, a man came out and immediately recognized that Nozomi was one of his creations. He told Nozomi that he wasn't sure why the mannequin he made developed a heart. Nozomi told him that having a heart is painful. The man took him to a warehouse filled with abandoned mannequins who had also been loved by humans. Nozomi asked what would happen to them, and the man told him that since they are non-combustible waste, they can only be disposed of collectively. Before leaving, the man asked Nozomi, "Can this series be made larger? I like them big, right?" Nozomi, feeling excited and a bit nervous, decided to take a leisurely walk. He went to Chunyi's charming fence and cozy house, which was nestled in a quiet maze surrounded by lush green trees. When the two were together, Nozomi confessed sincerely to Chunyi, "I don't care if I'm a substitute for someone else. I'm willing to do anything for you. This is the reason for my existence, to do anything you want." At this moment, Chunyi made a strange request. He wanted to let the air out of Nozomi and then inflate it again. Nozomi happily and firmly agreed. So that night, in a very ceremonial atmosphere, Chunyi opened the air valve and then blew into the inflation pool. In this way, the air inside Nozomi's body was released again and again. They cut open Chunyi's stomach, gave up, and then taped his wound with duct tape. Then they tried to blow air into Chunyi's mouth, thinking this would make him better. However, Chunyi was already in too much pain to speak. The next day, Chunyi died from excessive blood loss, and Nozomi put him in a garbage bag and placed it in the trash heap. That night, Nozomi sat alone on a recliner, tearing open his own wound, feeling the lingering presence of Chunyi. Nozomi lost the only person in the world who truly cared for her, as if her life had been drained away, lying motionless in the trash heap. At the end of the film, she held a doll from the trash heap and drifted into sleep. In her dream, she was back in that restaurant, eating Western food, when suddenly the sound of a birthday song hit her head. "Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you." The birthday song appears multiple times, representing the concept of being born or coming into being. For Nozomi, hearing the song triggers a desire to understand life and human milestones. It also symbolizes her longing for identity and belonging, as birthdays signify the passage of time and personal growth, something she is only just beginning to experience. In Japanese, Nozomi means hope. This name is significant because Nozomi's journey through the film is one of seeking hope for love, understanding, and meaning in her existence. Her ultimate realization of the painfulness of having a heart contrasts with her initial naive hopefulness. In the final scenes, Nozomi punctures herself and collapses among the trash, symbolizing her disillusionment with life. Her realization that having a heart means experiencing pain and rejection leads her to give up. This mirrors the existential theme of the film, that life, while filled with moments of beauty and connection, is ultimately impermanent and full of suffering. Her ending in the trash heap, with a doll in hand, highlights the cyclical nature of her existence. Just another object discarded after serving its purpose. Air Doll uses the fantastical premise of an inflatable doll coming to life to explore deeply human emotions and philosophical questions. The film's hidden details about identity, purpose, and emotional fragility create a rich narrative that prompts viewers to reflect on their own experiences of love, loneliness, and what it means to be truly alive. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Narrator Stories Recaps for more exciting movie breakdowns.